Hello everyone, welcome to yet another online session. Today we are going to talk about urban form and specialized functions. Urban form is highly correlated with the evolution of transportation system. And for understanding the three-way dynamics between the land supply, urban development and travel demand, it is easier to understand the transportation planning process. What is urban form? It refers to the size, shape and configuration of an urban area or its parts. Urban functions are conceptualized as functions of a city in relation to the society or other settlements. Then you have the synonyms for both the terms. Urban or spatial structure. This considers the location of different activities, the central areas and the periphery. Now the central area is a cluster of central activities which we have been calling as the CBD. The core activities are those which are of the highest order in the urban spatial structure like finance, insurance, etc. Then comes the central activities which focus on the functions of production, distribution of activities such as manufacturing, wholesaling, transportation. The peripheral activities are primarily residential. Now each city has its own evolution and the urban spatial structure that has developed. We'll look at it in the three phases. The pre-industrial city, where it existed before the industrial revolution, and the CBD was limited to smaller sections like in the market area and where the transactions were carried out. Then when the mechanized city came in, it with the industrial revolution started the mass production and mass consumption. The retailing, the wholesaling part of the CBD started, and this was in the first half of the 20th century. In the second half of the 20th century came the mobile city, in which the massive industries, they were relocated away from the central areas to the suburban areas. The spatial structure of many cities then became increasingly multi-centric. Before going further, we are going to use certain terms again and again. So the term network refers to the framework of routes within a system of location. They are also called as nodes. A route is a single link between two nodes that are part of larger network that can refer to tangible routes such as roads and rails. A transport network denotes either a permanent track or a scheduled service. Connected networks are point-to-point networks where a service originates and ends in a single location. A more complex form involves a route network where there is a sequence of intermediary locations that are serviced along a linear sequence. The transport hubs have emerged as a common network structure for many types of transport services. Now, to understand the urban spatial structure, we can categorize them under the two levels. One is the centralization, which refers to the locational setting of activities in relation to the whole urban area. A centralized city has significant share of its activities within a defined center, while a decentralized city does not. Clustering refers to the locational setting of activities in relation to a specific part, that is a focal point. Now the spatial structure has two structural elements, the nodes and the linkages. The nodes are reflected in the centrality of urban activities, which can be related to the spatial accumulation of economic activities. Nodes have a hierarchy to their importance and the contribution to the urban functions. Linkages are the infrastructures supporting the mobility from to and between the nodes, like streets. There are two processes which impact the urban forms. One is the urban sprawl or the dispersion, and this has been dominant in the North America since the end of the Second World War. Then there are built up areas which have grown faster, than the population. The urban sprawl is taking place in many different types of cities, Paris, London, Mexico, and recently the urban expansion is consequently almost all geared up towards the road transportation as the support for mobility. The second process is the decentralization of the activities, which has two opposite effects. First, the commuting time has remained relatively stable in the duration, and second, commuting increasingly tends to be longer in terms of the distance made by using the automobile rather than by public transit. Now, the major components of the spatial imprint of urban transportation are the pedestrian areas. These are the sidewalks on the road, right on the roads. They contribute to the 10 or the 20%. Then are the roads and the parking areas. Then also the cycling areas are coming up. The transit systems, which are not exactly in India, we don't have subways. Then the transport terminals. Now, the urban spatial structure, it has been, uh, changed because of the automobiles, and four major types of this metropolitan scale has been identified, which has been named as type 1 to type 4, which are completely motorized network, weak center, strong center, and the traffic limitation. Now coming to the second part of the question are the specialized functions. In this, you are first going to talk about the advantages of transportation. Under this, you're going to speak about the economic benefits, which are the following points. I'm not going to read all of them. You just go through there. And second are the social benefits. These are the following points. How the society, has get affected by the transportation system. And the second part is the role of transportation in development. Under development, the following points are to be made, and later you have to talk about the economic role of transportation, the social role of transportation, and the political role of transportation. So if you get a long question on the specialized functions of the urban areas or the spatial structures, you need to focus in a very elaborate manner on all these points. And when you are asked a question about the urban form, you have to write the first part of this presentation. Thank you.